Greetings, fellow Watford fans. Omar here again, and I want to talk about Luther Blissett. Luther Blissett, of course, the greatest ever Watford FC footballer. He really is a living legend. Luther Blissett. Look, there's so many great things that he's done and continues to do, not only for the Watford and not only for Watford Town and for the fans, but also for people across the United Kingdom. He really has been a statesman and still is a statesman and ambassador. And such an honor to have met Luther Blissett and such an honor to continue to interact with Luther Blissett. He does this with all the fans of Watford. He's one of the best at it that I've ever known, who keeps connecting with the fans, continuing to, years after his playing career, and retirement, he continues to interact with the fans. He loves people. He loves Watford. He loves the Watford faithful. And he is really a true blessing to Watford and to everybody who really cares about the club and also who care about the town, who care about people. And so it's great to hear from Luther Blissett. And Luther Blissett, as you know, got an OBE earlier this summer. And he was also, a few weeks after that, invited by Watford Football Club to take the title of honorary life president. Now, at the time I found out about this, I was very pleased. I thought it was about time that the club extended its hand to Luther because, I was not the only Watford fan that felt this way. There are many of us who looked askance at the club during last season when all of these titles for Hornets ambassador were being doled out to players who, quite frankly, I'll speak for myself here, I felt shouldn't even belong on that list ahead of Luther Blissett. And so one of the things I was saying, again, other fans were saying this too, is what's going on here? Luther Blissett's not one of the Hornets ambassadors, and you've got this one and that one and the other one on there. What's going on? So, there'd been talks, of course, amongst the supporters group also last season about this in part. I was not part of that discussion myself, but obviously that got talked about, and it did. And now in the summer, earlier this summer, the club extended that honor to Luther Blissett, just inviting him to be the honorary life president. And I was saying, yeah, Luther, I guess you should take that. If you think that that's something that's appropriate, you should take it. I definitely would take that. But of course, I don't know what's going on inside the bowels of Watford Football Club any more than the vast majority of fans do. Now, there may be a few fans who are privy to some heretofore inside information. They may well be. And it wouldn't surprise me if one or two were perhaps. But the point I'm making here is from the outside, that's a very nice gesture from Watford Football Club. Now, from the inside and from Luther Blissett's perspective, maybe there's something that says to him, tread lightly before you accept these things. Because, hey, Luther Blissett earlier this week, he spoke about this on Twitter where he said, look, and I'll read this out to you as well. As a legacy to Graham's memory, it would be a dishonor to simply accept a title and not be able to change club culture and what benefits you, the fans. Contrary to PR, I have not yet accepted the invite to be honorable vice president, to appease a few and compromise my beliefs and what I have with you all. Now, that was what Luther Blissett tweeted out on the 31st of uh, July. At least here in the United States, it was the 31st of July. So obviously, it was early on Monday morning, August the 1st, that he tweeted this out. And I'm going, wow. So something's going on here, and something's going on here, and I felt this even before this tweet came out because you could tell there was very few references to Luther Blissett around. You saw him at an event here and an event there, but he never really got any interview time on the Watford channels. He had not been invited on to, at least he hadn't shown up at, hadn't been at, interviewed for Hive Live anytime during the last time that Watford were in the championship prior to now. There's all these things, and it's like, what? This guy is here, and he's doing all these things for the club, and he's doing this and doing that, and he's an ambassador. He's a statesman. He's been honored by the Queen, for goodness sakes. He's been given the Order of the British Empire. You know, it's one of the top three honors you can basically, top 3 or 4 honors you can get from the United Kingdom, from the Queen. So he's getting all these honors from elsewhere. But Watford Football Club hadn't extended him this life president title, honorary, until after he got that OBE. So that was something that was telling to me. And again, you know, just this very odd situation that I don't have any more details on. So I'm not going to speculate. But Luther Blissett, in the tweet that I just read out to you, I think it makes it pretty clear. He's not going to jump on a title without knowing what's going on. And then what was very interesting to me, and I'm thinking now about what Adam Leventhal wrote in The Athletic this week, is a mural that was actually commissioned for Vicarage Road. And it was a mural of Luther Blissett with the words honorary life president below the mural of Luther Blissett. And how on earth can you do such a mural or commission one when you know that Luther Blissett has not even accepted, as of yet, the honorary life president role? How can you be commissioning murals before you even have the signature and the go ahead from Luther Blissett? It's kind of like what Alec Baldwin said in the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. Did you ever see that movie, Glengarry Glen Ross? And there's a line in Glengarry Glen Ross where Alec Baldwin, who's a salesman, who's a kind of this head honcho salesman, kind of this guy who just blows everybody out the water because he's got so much experience and he's wealthy, he's successful with his sales. And he says at one point, you get them to sign on the line that is dotted. And he's talking about the customer that you're trying to sell the home to, in the case of this film, Glengarry Glen Ross. So he repeats, I think he says it once or twice. I think he says it once, actually. You get them to sign on the line that is dotted. And the football club has not done that with Luther Blissett. So how on earth are you going to be commissioning a mural with Luther Blissett and the title honorary life president? Do the mural of Luther Blissett by all means, but don't put honorary life president on that mural if the man has not accepted the title presently. Why would you be doing that? And in Adam Leventhal's article, he notes here that Luther Blissett has said, you know, he's been waiting for a discussion with the club, and he said that the club has not prioritized this issue. And he found out at the end of last week that there was being a mural done with the title on it. He had asked the club to remove the title from the mural, but they refused to. What's going on here? And he notes here, and I'm reading this from Adam Leventhal's article in The Atlantic. Nothing even agreed yet with a mural. Let me read that again. Nothing even agreed yet. A mural with the title done end of last week. To back me into accepting something not even discussed? That's Luther talking. I'm reading this Luther's quote. Over enthusiasm? I and fans would have perceived a done deal this eve. What message does that send out on respect? And that last portion of what Luther says is exactly what I want to get to. You do not treat a legend like this at your football club. This is not the way to do it. I know that the club has made some very good turns in the right direction in terms of goodwill toward the fans after the absolute catastrophes of last season. I've been very vocal about that. But what's going on with Luther Blissett and the way that the club is treating him presently is really unconscionable. And even though there is a possibility that there will be ultimately an acceptance of this title once Luther Blissett gets to know what is going on here and what the terms are, You have to factor in that this is not the way you treat your greatest ever player. This is not the way to do it. Everyone's treating him with respect. And everyone, it seems, is doing that except some people at Watford Football Club. I'm not going to sit here and speculate as to whom those persons might be, but this is a funny way of, if you really care about Luther Blissett, this is a funny way of showing it. Strong arming him, perhaps, here, with a mural already planned, refusing to accede to his wishes when he said, well, can you please remove the title of honorary life president from the mural? Refusing to do so? Funny way of showing respect to Luther for that. Look, I don't think that's respectful at all. And there are some people, whoever they are, at that club who are completely disregarding the traditions of this club. And you don't treat someone like Luther Blissett like this. You don't treat anybody like this. You just don't. Imagine that you've worked at a club. Or let me just put it like this. Imagine you've worked at a job for 40 years. 40 years at the same company. Now that's rare now. Very rare, right? You don't see that anymore. Imagine you've worked 45 years at a company. 45 years. And all of a sudden, you get a letter in the mail that invites you to become the president of the company. The president of the company. And then when you go into the office the next day and find out that you've got this letter and you find out that this is serious, and then you have this meeting with your boss and the people who made the decision for you to become president of the company you've worked at for 47, 45, whatever years, right? And then all of a sudden, during the course of the conversation, they say, well, we've already got a plaque that we're going to put up, a portrait of a plaque and a plaque with your name and the title of president of the company on it. You are the new president and CEO of the company that you've been working for 45 years. And you're like, what? What? You mean you've got a mural? I mean, a plaque? I mean, a portrait with the title president on it? Well, what does the duties of president entail? Can you before you name me president, I need to know what I'm getting into here. Can you tell me what responsibilities I have specifically? What am I going to be doing? Am I going to be traveling all over the world? Am I going to be making these really big time decisions? And what are the provisos on all this? How does this all work? Well, we're actually going to send out a press release tomorrow morning saying that you are the president of the company. That is not too far away from what has happened so far with Luther Blissett and the club. And as I say, that is all I can comment on because I don't know what else is going on behind the scenes. And I don't know ultimately whether or not the club is going to have the conversation with Luther Blissett. I suspect they will. And I don't know ultimately whether or not Luther Blissett will accept the honor. But from the tweet that I that I read to you a few minutes ago, I don't think Luther Bissett's going to jump at this yet, for sure. He needs to know what the life president honorary title really confers, what that means. And the scenario I just laid out, where you're this 45-year employee of a workplace, as I said, that doesn't really happen anymore. And all of a sudden, you get this letter that you are now the president of the club, of the workplace that you work at. And now there's a portrait hanging in the lobby or about to be that has your name on it and your title as president on it, and a press release is going out. But yet you've never had any real concrete discussion. You've not even agreed to this yet. Wouldn't you want to know a bit more about what that title confers on you, what that means, what your responsibilities are, what that will mean for you representing the workplace that you work at? It's the same thing that Luther Blissett wants to know more about in terms of what that means for Luther Blissett and his representation of Watford. Because as we saw last season, there were lots of things that many of us, now some Watford fans had no problem with what happened last season. I'm not one of those fans, okay? And there are lots of other fans who also, like me, had some real issues with some of the things that the club was doing last season. And all I think Luther Blissett wants is to have a conversation. And I expect that they will have a conversation and just go through what this particular title entails. Because as Luther Blissett has said, he is not going to compromise his relationships with the fans, his relationship with the fans, and his principles. He's not going to do that. Luther Blissett is someone who's got a lot of a high amount of integrity. He is Mr. Integrity, right? And he's not going to compromise himself or his principles or his values to take a title of honorary life president if he thinks that that is going to put him and any relationships with the fans in jeopardy or in an awkward position. And I think that that's exactly what you should be doing. You should absolutely be saying, hey, wait a minute, I'm not taking a title yet. I need to have a conversation with you. And I think that it's very telling that a club would commission a mural with a title on it without even first confirming with Luther Blissett that he wants the title, without even getting the okay. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's very good at all. It sounds like some strong arm tactics. If I didn't know better, I think it would be something out of a mob movie or something. But I just don't understand this. And while the club is turning the corner in some areas, it's not doing a good enough job with its ambassadors. And I'm not talking about the Hornets ambassadors, it's statesmen like a Luther Blissett. That's really not the kind of thing you should be doing at your club. When you're talking about a living legend like Luther, I just don't think that this has been thought out right. And whoever's making these decisions, dear, oh dear, oh dear. I really don't know. I am very concerned. I'm very concerned. I hope that ultimately the club and Luther Blissett get together and talk this out and that there is a decision. And one way or another, I'll support whatever Luther Blissett does. If Luther Blissett takes the position, great, great. You know, if he doesn't, then I support a decision too as a Watford supporter. And I just hope that this just gets resolved one way or another in the next few days or weeks. I really do. I really do. Because I just think that if this club wants to turn a new leaf, turn over a new leaf, if this club really wants to turn over a new leaf, it really needs to resolve this situation with Luther Blissett one way or another. The club needs to be transparent with Luther and with the fans. I've always called for that. And the club also needs to treat Luther Blissett with respect. And they need to apologize to him for what was this? Commissioning a mural with a life president name on it? He's not even accepted the title. What's the rush? Why don't you wait until he takes the title if he accepts it before you commission murals? What's the rush to get that done? I mean, I know that Vic 100 is around the corner on August the 30th of this year, but what's the rush? And by the way, there needs to be a Luther Blissett night at the Vic. And by the way, there needs to be a Luther Blissett statue somewhere. Quite frankly, I'd accept that first before I even look at honorary life president, because the statue is immortal. It's immortal, right? That stays forever. And even if it doesn't stay forever at the Vic location, if this club were to move from the Vic to elsewhere, that statue will be going along with that new location. Presumably, it certainly would be, I'd have to say. So, I don't know what's going on. Again, that's why I really don't want to comment too much further. I'm only commenting strictly on what I've just talked about, which is A, the article in the Atlantic, B, Luther Blissett's actual comments on Twitter and with the Atlantic, and not with Adam Leventhal, and also the fact that Watford even admitted to Adam Leventhal that they know that he hasn't confirmed, that Blissett hasn't confirmed yet. Dear, oh dear. I mean, would you start to make gambling bets, right, before knowing whether or not you had enough money to make those bets with? You wouldn't do that, would you? Now, I know people lose money in Vegas, but you wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't make a bet if you didn't have enough money to make it with, unless you really want to go to prison or something. I just hope that the club sits down with Luther and really listens to Luther Blissett, OBE, and treat him with the respect that not only the title of OBE befits, but also that really more importantly than that title, treats Luther Blissett with respect. I mean, that's elementary, my dear Watson, isn't it?